Hello my friends and welcome to this video. In this one we are going to create an animated FAQ section, and basically it's just a simple FAQ section that you see on websites, and this is what we're going to build. Okay, so I just want to quickly point out that if you actually are interested in content around HTML, CSS and JavaScript, then please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Also, this is one of the projects we build in my 100 Days of JavaScript course. Okay, so this is my website, and I have an additional course that I recently published where you get to build projects every day for 100 days, and I'm confident that this course would help you sharpen your JavaScript skills. So I'm going to leave a link in the description, and if you actually want to take this course, please use the link in the description. Thank you so much, and let's get started. All right, welcome back guys. In this one we're going to build these tabs, vertical tabs. So basically when you click on any of the tabs here, it will slide out the content. Okay, so this is what we do. This is get in touch, and another thing is that the background changes to white. So if I click on this, you see the background changes, and this one returns back to gray, and like so for who we are. Okay, so it's a pretty common feature in many websites, and we're going to see how we can build that with JavaScript. All right, so let's get started. Right, we have index HTML with bootstrap styles. Okay, basically I think for the bootstrap style we just kept it here so that it automatically styles our text. I think that's all I used it for. Okay, I didn't want to have to start styling the heading and all of that and the paragraphs. All right, so let's first get rid of this p tag here. Okay, so first off we're going to create a container class. So I'll say dot container, and inside that container we're going to create this text div and this tab div. Okay, so here I'll say dot text, and I may as well just duplicate this down and change this to tabs plural. Okay, so let's bring this here and like so separate it. All right, so for the text we are simply going to add a h1, and this will say vertical tabs. Okay, then we're going to add a paragraph that will say this. I'll copy that and I'll paste that in here. All right, now let's go to the tabs. So the tabs is going to have two main sections inside. The first is these guys here. I call it the tab links. Okay, and then this other guy here, the tab content. So I'll come inside the tabs and I'll create a div with a class of tab hyphen links. Okay, which will have all of the buttons. Okay, so inside the tab link, let's just create a button, and this button is going to have a class of tab hyphen link that's singular. Okay, and let me just make it easy. So here I will say this is going to say who we are, and I'll just duplicate that downwards and change the text. Let me see if I can copy it. Oh, it's not copying, so I have to type it out. Okay, this one is going to say what we do, and the last one is going to say get in touch. Okay, so great. Now there's something we want to do, right? For us to be able to target each of these tabs and map the content to them, I'm going to add a feature, right, called data attributes. Okay, so I'm going to add a data attribute to each one of these guys here. Okay, or maybe before then let me just create the tab content. Okay, so this is the tab links. I will come outside of the tab links. Let me add a comment here and say tab content. Okay, I'll create a div with a class of, what did I use? I think I used tab hyphen contents, and I made it contents. Okay, which is actually not the correct word, but for lack of a better class, Now inside, we're then going to create tab contents, okay, and we're going to have 3 of these. Okay, so but before then, let's add actual content. So this first one is going to be for who we are, and I'm going to give it a modifier class of about. Okay, then I would come inside of it and say h3, that we say same who we are, and then I'll just add some dummy text, lorem ipsum. So let me just add 20, like so. All right, so I feel confident at this point to duplicate this tab. Okay, so I'll just highlight it and duplicate it 2 more times. This second one is going to, I'm going to change it to services. So this one is going to be services, and it's going to say what we do. So what we do, and this last one is going to say, is going to have a class of contacts, and it's going to say get in touch, like so. So I think we are done for the markup. Okay, this is as far as the markup goes. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to, so this is what we've done so far. It doesn't look pretty, but we're going to style it. So we're going to go and enter our styles.css, and let's start adding some styles here. So I'll just say start here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is let's add some padding for this container. So I'm going to say margin, so margin on the top, and I'll just say 10 rem to just, you know, push it down a little bit. Okay, then we can then start. Okay, so the first thing is we have text. So text, and we're just going to do text align and set it to center. Let's add some margin on the bottom. Let's just do 2 rem, save that, and yeah. All right, now let's target the tabs. Okay, so we are going fast with our CSS, so we're going to do display and set it to flex. Let me save that first and see. Okay, yeah, so this is what we have. Then I think I set the border to 1px and solid, then I use the gray color, like so. Let me save that. Okay, let me just confirm that color one more time. Yeah, so it's the gray color, which is EEE. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. All right, then now let's get the tab links. So the tabs holds all of the tab, and the tab links are the individual links inside. That's the button. So I'll say dot tab hyphen links, and basically for the tab links, let me go in and see how I set that tab links again. So the tab links have, they're actually the inside of the tab links, that's where we then have the buttons. Okay, so let me expand this, let's see. All right, yeah, I get. Okay, so for the tab links, what do we want to do? We want to let me see, I'll just give it a width of 25% and save. Okay, I really don't think that's a good idea. Okay, yeah, on the desktop screen it's actually 25% is fine, but when you go to mobile, we're going to use media query to change that. Yeah, okay, so I'll just leave it at 25% for the tab links, and let me see. Then I'm going to then target the button. with, the button has a class of tab link, which is singular. All right, so this is where we then go to set the things like the padding of, I'll do 1.2 rem. Then I'm going to give it a width of 100%. Let's give it a font size of, I think 1.6 rem was fine. Then we're going to remove the border, set the border to none, and we're going to remove the outline for the button, set it to none. Ouch. Then we're going to set a border on the bottom, so border bottom to a 2px and solid, and we're going to use our primary color. Save that, and this is what we have. Okay, so let me expand this. I think I should actually just expand it like this, so it looks a lot better on the desktop. So we're going to use media query, like I said, to make it look better on the mobile. Okay, mobile width. All right, so I'm going to create a class of active, so that's active, and this active class, right, is going to have a different background color. So I'll set the background color to white. Okay, and save that. All right, so what I'll do is I'll give the very first one, or when I come back there. Okay, let me not jump from CSS to HTML. Let's finish the CSS first. All right, so let me target the tab content and the one with S. I'm going to just add some padding of 1 rem around it. Then I'm going to target the individual tab content. Okay, so I'll say dot tab contents singular, and I'll set the display to none. Then I would add an animation. I've not created the animation yet, but when I create the animation, I'm going to call it slide right. Okay, because it's going to slide the contents to the right. I'm going to give it a duration of 0.5 seconds and ease, and then 1. Okay, so then I'll come down here, and lastly I would set the about, which is the first content, right? Let me show you. Index HTML and contents, and the first one has a class of about, so I want that one to be displayed ab initio from the beginning. So I'll set the display to block, like so. So now this slide right animation, let's go ahead and create it. So I'll come here and I'll just say at keyframes, and the name of the animation is going to be slide hyphen right, and let's create it. So we're going to see that from 0% we want something, and then we're going to add 100%. Oh, sorry, that's 100, not 1000. Okay, so 0%, what do we want? Give space. We're going to set the transform, and basically we are translating on the x-axis. So I'll say translate x, and we're going to move it a little bit to the left. So I'll say -10 rem. Okay, basically I'll just copy this guy and I'll come down here, paste that in, and take it back to the original position of 0. So what this means is that it will slide the content from left to right. Okay, if I save that, you see what happens. Let me save that again. Great. Now there's a problem here. When it slides the content, it actually shows from on top of this guy. So basically we just go to tab links. I think it's tab links. I will set the z index to 1 and save. So you see now it's hide behind the tab links. Okay, And for the tab, basically I think for the tabs we can just set the what's the property, this I can't remember the name of this property. Wow, I wish there was someone to help me. Okay, I will remember. Overflow. So we're going to set the overflow to hidden. Okay, and save. All right, so if you refresh the page, you see that it just comes back from this back here. It doesn't show outside the tabs. Okay, so that's fine. All right, now what do we want to do? We want to add JavaScript, okay, such that when we click on this guy, it would you know, show the content for this part. Okay, we're gonna do that in the next video. All right, so see you in the next one. All right, welcome back, guys. Before we get into the JavaScript, right, let's add just a media query for this guy here. So we can just scroll to the bottom and we can say at media screen, and we'll say max width and say 600 pixels. So this simply means for any width 600 pixels and below. So I'll then get the tab links, which is this one here, and I'll increase the width to 50% and save, and that would, you know, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, all right, so let's then go straight into the JavaScript. So we're going to use the data attribute JavaScript property to target the, you know, the buttons here. So basically we're going to slot it into the HTML and we're going to then target it with JavaScript. Okay, so basically let's just go into this button, and the way you do, actually you can just Google data attribute JavaScript and you can, there's a lot you can read about it. Okay, so but I'm just going to show you how you can, you know, actually use it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll say data hyphen, and then you can then specify anything you want, you know, to be the extension of that data attribute. Okay, so in my case I'll say data hyphen filter. Okay, because basically when I click on this guy I want to filter and get the content, so that's why I just use filter. It can be data hyphen anything you want. Okay, but in my case I'm using filter, so it's just going to be like a regular attribute, right? A property and a value. The property is data filter and the value is whatever you set it to be. Okay, so the first one is going to say about, and I want you to note that basically this whatever is here is actually tallying with the class we set here. Okay, about, services and contacts. Okay, so I think I can go ahead and copy this like this, come here and paste it in, and I'll change this to services, and the last one I'm going to set to, where's the last one? Okay, this is it, contacts. Okay, now there's one more thing, right? The active class, I'm going to set the very first button to have the active class. So this is the first button here, the one that says who we are, and I'm just going to come here and say active. Okay, and save that. Now what will happen is that it will have this white background. Of course, if you click on the other ones, it will not switch the class because we need to do that with JavaScript. All right, so as far as HTML is concerned, I think we are done. So next, let's switch to JavaScript and add the logic. Okay, so for the logic, it's only going to be a few lines of code. So first off, let's create variables. So I'll come here and say it's going to be, okay, so the first one is going to be variable tab links. Okay, and this is going to be document. Oh, it should be document, so I can just add the D here. Dot get element by class name. Okay, and what is the class I'm looking for? I'm looking for tab link, singular. Okay, all right. So basically, this is actually targeting the buttons, tab link. Okay, come back here and let's create another variable. This one is going to target all the content, so I'll say const all content, and I'll set it to be equal to documents dot query selector all. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for the class of tab contents. It's both singular. All right, so this is the button and this is the content. Now let's create a loop and loop through the tab links. So we're going to use a for loop, which we've used quite a number of times. So first off, let's define I and set it to let's initialize the loop, set the I to 0. Okay, then we'll then say I is less than tab links dot length, close that, and then we'll say I plus plus. So we're inside of the loop. What do we want to do? Right, we want to add an event listener, because basically we're clicking on the button, right? We're clicking on the tab link. So we're going to say tab links, and we're going to get the ith item, the current item we're clicking on, and add an event listener. Ouch. Add event listener. What am I doing? Add event listener. Okay, let us add a click event, and it's going to call basically we can just use create a function. Okay, so let me just check something. There's something I want to confirm. Okay, so we are going to use the function keyword here, because inside of this event listener we're going to be using the this keyword. And remember that the this keyword does not have its own when you use the ES6 function and you use this inside the ES6 function, it does not have access to its own this property. So it's going to go to the window object and pick the this for the window object. I explained that in one of the previous lecture. Okay, I'm sure you would either get to it either before or after this one. Okay, but I don't want to spend too much time repeating the same explanation. But just know that when you're using the this keyword inside of like a for loop like this, you have to use the ES5 function syntax by writing the function like this, and then I'm going to use add an e parameter, and like so I'm going to open it up. All right, so first off, what do we want to do inside? Let's create some variables. Okay, so the first variable I'm going to create is going to be called current, and it's just going to target the class of active. So I'll say document dot get element by class name. So the class name is going to be active. Okay, so let me just add that here. And I think we have actually active. I think we've actually seen how to switch an active class before on click, so that you should actually be familiar with this stuff I'm doing right here. Okay, so we've created a class of current, get element by class name active, right? We're going to come down here and then we're going to say current, and we're going to get the 0 item like so, and then we're going to say dot class name. What's wrong with my keyboard? Okay, so class name, and we're going to set it to be equal to, so I'll just copy this guy again, paste it here. So current and the 0 item of the this current variable we've created. Actually, this current variable get element by class name is going to loop through, is going to look through the index.html and try to get every element that has the class of active. But remember, we've set it on only one item. Okay, so we're going to then set it to be equal to current.classname.replace. So let me use the replace method, and it's going to take two parameters. So what it wants to replace, which is the active class. So that's the first. So I'll give a space and say active, and I'll add a comma here and say that I want to replace it with nothing. Okay, I'll close. So basically what this does is that it will delete the active class from the current variable. Okay, now what we want to then do is that we're going to then set this dot class name. In other words, this is going to now apply to the item that we clicked. Okay, so we'll set this dot class name and we'll say plus equals active. So give a space to add the active class to whatever class that exists there. So active, like so. All right, so basically with this we just did here, if we come here and click on, so let me give it some time to load, and click on the second one, you see that the background has changed to white, and like so. So we actually did this before when we switched the active menu class. All right, so now what we want to do next is we want it such that when we click on what to do, the what to do content will be displayed, and that's where the data set attribute comes into play. Okay, all right, so like I said, you can actually just Google data set. Let me just open this up. You can actually just Google data set attributes. So data -set attributes, or you can just say property, and you can just add JavaScript, and you can find a lot of resources for this. So there's one on Mozilla, and I think there's one also on W3 Schools, but just go ahead and do your research. But I'm going to focus on showing you how it actually works. Okay, so remember that we've set the data filter, we've set it on all of the buttons, and so let's come to script.js and see how we can use that. So I'll come, where am I coming? I'll just below the active, right? Ouch, what have I done here? Okay, so script.js, right? So just below this active class, let me add a comment here and say switch content. Okay, so that just so that we can know what this is doing. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable. So I'll call that variable filter, right? I'll set it to be equal to event.target. So remember that we passed in an e parameter here. So I'll say event.target, and then I'll say .dataset.filter. Okay, so this is the variable we just set. So you know what I'm going to do, right? Just to show you what this actually does, or what this actually targets, I'm going to log to the console filter. Okay, let me save that so we can see what we just did. So I'll inspect this, Ctrl+Shift+I to inspect, and let me just expand this so we can see. So we're in the console now. If I click on this one, watch what happens. So you see it targets, it shows us services. If I click on this one, contacts, click on the first one, about. Basically that's what we just did with this variable we set here. So event.target dataset.filter. Remember that in the index HTML is data-filter. So this is the word here. All right, let's continue. Now we're going to loop through all of the content. Okay, so I'll come down here and I will say all content, and I'll do a for each method. So I'll say for each and open this, and I'll say the single item is going to be represented with the word content, and we're going to use an arrow function like this. Okay, all right, so let me just add some space so we can see what we're doing. Now let's use an if else statement. So I'll say if. Okay, so the first condition will be that if the filter is equal to content, right? So definitely the filter is actually going to be equal to content. Let me come here and show you why. Oh, no. I just made a mistake, right? So here I say if the filter is equal to content, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say content dot style dot display. Oh, sorry, that should be style dot display, and I'll set it to be equal to block. Okay, but this is not actually what we are interested in, right? What we are interested in is you know what, I'm gonna do something here, right? I'll say if let me just okay, I'll change this here. I'll change this. Let me try something out first. So here I'll say that if the contents, which is what we've represented here inside our for each, so I'll say if the content dot class list, okay, contains, so I'll say dot contains, and then inside here I'll then specify the filter, okay, which is this variable we created here, which targets the data filter property we set. Okay, so I'll say if the content dot class list contains the filter, then what do I want to do? I want to display it. So I'll say content dot style dot display equals to block. All right, else what do I want to do? I can actually just copy all of this. I'll Ctrl C and paste it in and set the content to display to none. Okay, let me save that and let's try it. This is not actually how I did it when I was building the project, okay, but let's try it now. And voila, you see what we do? Get in touch, who we are. So basically with this data set property in JavaScript, okay, we can actually filter data, filter information, and display it when we fire off an event. Okay, so let me just open this up so we can see. So you see it slides out like that, and like that. All right, but there's something I need to explain right before I go, and it's this filter property here. So basically I'm saying that first off I looped through the content, and I said that if the content dot class list contains filter, so remember that we set, let me come to my index.html. Remember that we set the filter here, the data filter, to about. So this is the first one, about, then services, then contact. Also in the content we also set the class to about, services, and contact. So basically what we are saying here in the script.js is that if the content.class list, right, which is this content here, and you see the class, it contains contact, it contains services, it contains about, which corresponds to the data filter we set. So that's actually the key. The data you want to link up must have the same data filter attribute as the class. So that's basically the idea behind it. So if the content.class list contains the filter, right, then we're going to display it, else we're going to hide it. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to add, just to I just wanted to show you that the data filter we set here, the data filter of about services and contacts, is actually corresponding to the class of about services and contacts, and that's how we're able to link them here with this for each method. All right, so thank you so much for watching this one, and see you in the next one.